Ulonka tabati yada to ye ko mada ifa. Inu to ye ko je love baby pa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Songo Eshu, Ogun Oya Osun. Kini ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o. Ó jẹ́ lọ jára rẹ̀.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, OrisaGbemi, and today we are joined by none other than our distinguished community elder, Oloye Baba IFA Karade. Alafia, Baba, what's going on with you, man?
Lafia, my brother. Peace and blessings to you and share Lafia and me. How's everyone out there in the YouTube land, you know? Yes, it's all good. Welcome. Ekabo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ekabo. Before we get started and dive in, Baba, today is day 5 of Taweday, so I know we'll be getting deep into that as well, and then kind of catching up on, the last, I think, 2 or 3 days since we last had our last live stream. And before we get into that, though, I want to give a shout out to all of the subscribers first and foremost. We hit another milestone. We hit the big 1,700. So I definitely appreciate all y'all who have been liking and sharing and passing forward and paying it forward with the channel, man. Just sharing it with other people. We appreciate that because we can't grow without, the help of others. So we definitely appreciate all of the love and support, all the love and support on the comments, all the new private community members. I think we might have a couple of new VIP members as well, but I know we definitely got several new private community members. And I just want, show love and show appreciation, man, to give thanks to those who have been supporting. So we definitely appreciate that. And I'll be sharing some more free giveaways as well, just to, celebrate the spirit of Tawede and the spirit of giving, as well as, diving in and going within to kind of, elevate ourselves, in the remaining few days left of 2024 to take that thing up and make it do what it do for 2025. So with that, bye-bye. You ready to get this thing cracking?
Always. It's all good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sound the bell. Let's go.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Shout out to I see you in Kosi. I see you at IFA Egun. Shout out to the Karade Nation in the building as well. But yeah, Baba. So
yes.
Tawede, day 5. What you got for us?
Real soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, as we all may know, and a few may not know, every day I'm posting a homage, an honorary statement to each of the Odu, because that's what Tawee is supported by. That's what it basically is supported by. So here we have the sacred days of our Iwakiri, our spiritual journey, and coming from the essence of my revelation, of the epiphanies that have come forth and commune with the divine. This sacred time was set to be placed on the altar of our understanding, the altar of our journey through this thing called life. And as a result, better live it, longer live it, more effectively set for generations to come, a way of being, a way of betterment. So every day, starting day 1 on the 16th, I beg, which basically highlighted, saving grace and voice of creation, voice of conceiving, voice of conceptualization. Okay. On day 2, Oyeku. Okay. And we dealt with certain basics of Oyeku, and speaking of the understanding of death and the bringing forth from that understanding a greater need to let go of that which is self-destructive, let go of that which brings forth that tendency to be unproductive, non-creative, if you will. Okay. Iwori, we looked at from the standpoint of Ori, or from the viewpoint of Ori, I should say, and kind of embrace the transformational aspects that our wise and elders, prophets, and sacred ones have embedded within us. You know, we are taught, but we are genetically moved as well. So when we combine the two, we grow exponentially. And ED, we basically put a finger on the pulse, if you will, on the importance of stillness, you know, the importance of just taking a moment to deeply reflect from positions of stillness of mind, stillness of body, you know, became the echoes for day 4. And now day 5, Osun. Okay. Again, every morning I'm up and I'm writing, and Osun, you know, dealt with just the nobility of heritage. You know, what is it, you know, that we're passing on? What is it that we're practicing? What is it that we're doing for the grace, again, of our children? You know, and the impact of time, that which is time honored. And I raise questions, you know, to the people, you know, in terms of taking note of what it is we spend our time doing. Who is it that we spend the most time with, or the least time with? And what are the reasons? Concisely, you know, are we building as a result of our concepts of time via our efforts? Or are we pretty aware of the fact that we're wasting time or not spending time being productive, creative, lending to the fulfillment of our destiny as ancestral figures soon, right, to be relative to time? And I just closed off with the battles that we're fighting. You know, each of us has our battleground, if not more than one. You know, mine is the urban school systems, you know, uh, fighting against systemic racism and pipeline to prison kind of realities. They're not concepts, they're realities, statistically proven, you know. So that's my battle. And my battle cry is, you know, don't just read over, read into. And then that ripples into, just don't live life superficially. Just don't live life on the surface. You know, go deep. Live life not so much to the fullest, but to its most examined, to its most conceptualized and thought about and recognized, not just as a gift or a grace, you know, from God, you know, but as a gift and a grace to existence. Okay. So that OrisaGbemi is concisely what I'm doing in respect to Taweday and the messages that come through me when the spirit of the day dawns. Ashe.
Shay. No, that's what's up. Yeah, I definitely have been trying to make it a point to practice Tawede, you know, in my own special way. I think one of the biggest things that I've been working on since it started is to be consistent with the meditation, you know, with the meditation practices. And I had a really, really good one today, man. And it was like it was so good that I didn't realize how long I was in it. I had set the timer, just kind of get a quick little maintenance, kind of like when you do a quick 20-30 minute workout, when you crunch for time. So I had a lot on my schedule and on my plate today. So I wanted to get a little quick, maybe I think 16-minute quick one in. And man, that timer went off. And before I could realize it, it was like I had been in there, I think like maybe about almost 45 minutes or so. But it went by so fast because once I got in, I was in, and it was just like, yep, it was a good one. So that, and then reading, and the one thing I haven't done yet that I'm looking forward to doing is spending that time in nature. And I'm gonna make it a point to do that. I think on Sunday, depending on the weather. But yeah, I've definitely been taking the time to really tap into what the essence of Tawede is, as well as studying and reading up on some new material that's new to me anyway, and just studying, but then also figuring out different things to do with the community, with Ashe, with the tribe, with the nation, and how to make more of an impact, and how to I feel like be more impactful to the sense of one of those things that you want to kind of create memories. Like I think one of the parts in the journal is like, what's a favorite song, or what's a song that you can listen to if you had to pick one song for the rest of your life, something to the effect of that nature. And it's like, that's what I want Ashe to be. When we think about podcasts, like when it's all said and done, how you always reference the 7 generations ahead. Well, that's what, my vision is for Ashe. I want 7 generations ahead. I would love for some of the people who are part of the tribe, or some of the people who are part of the, the listening community, to think about like, yo, that's my favorite podcast. You know what I mean? Like that's the one that, it really means something. Or that's the one that I don't want to go a day without listening to. Or I don't want to go a week without tapping into. Or I don't want to miss a live stream to connect, with the Ashe community. So it's like, that's one of the things that I just kind of been, reflecting and taking the time in the spirit of Tawede, just to figure out how to use it to my advantage and how to put it to work to take action with it. So that's what it's been for me.
Ashe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And by the way, too, because I know we got a couple of topics that you wanted to hit with the town hall discussion, but before we get into it, I want to share with the community that in the essence and in the spirit of Tawede, I'm going to give away some more free ebooks, giving away a copy of Young Kings and Starseeds, to the tribe. So I put, I think 48 copies are available for download. So what I did is I took 16. The number 16 was, symbolism for Tawede, and I just multiplied it by 3. So we got 48 free copies of each book, to give away for the tribe for, the sake of the Tawede season, man, and to hopefully inspire some children and some young kings along the way. These last, what's today, the 20th? Last about maybe 11 days of 2024. So with that, Baba, you had a few topics you want to jump into as well about with this town hall discussion. So what you got for us?
Well, basically, I wanted to hear more about your book,
Sure.
and I wanted to, highlight it and, take a moment to step into it, and people, in terms of setting the stage and being drop by drop, bit by bit, giving people not only reasons why, but discussions of,
Sure.
Like I say, we just don't want to read over, we want to read into,
Right.
And that takes on a myriad of forms. We're not just here doing the podcast, to sit and do the podcast. We're planting seeds for 7 generations. Like that baobab tree. It takes time for it to grow. We're still basically, seedlings. Yeah, we haven't really even rooted yet, but the process has been started.
Sure.
So in light of that, my brother, let's hear something about the journal, man. Let's hear something about what you're doing with it.
The journal. Oh man. So doing a lot. Started the process of getting it put together for print. So depending on how long it takes the designer to get it formatted properly, and hopefully we don't have too many revisions. My goal is to have that thing out and print by next week. That's what, as long as everything falls in divine alignment, man. So I look forward to that, especially with coming into the new year, so we can really work on it. I mean, we're going to work on it, work with it, I should say, within the community, regardless of which format, whether it's in print or ebook, because I feel like even the people who took advantage of the free download with the free ebooks, we could just use a blank notebook, to kind of draw and write the answers and just kind of reference the journal, whether it's on your laptop, your tablet, or on your phone. So that way, depending on if some people want to buy the paperback along with the ebook, I'll definitely have some sort of offer, like a discount offer for those who've already either purchased or downloaded the free ebook to kind of get a discount on the paperback, and then from there, start working with it. And that's one of the things I was communicating with some of the tribe over the past couple of days in regards to getting our monthly call started. But one of the things that I wanted to do was pick a section from the book to work on, for this next week or so, or definitely for a live stream call together with the tribe to kind of work towards, going into 2025. So I was trying to figure out what I came up with was maybe working with either the mind's eye and the third eye in regards to like manifesting, visualization and manifesting, or depending on what the tribe want to do, or we can maybe focus on like meditation, like the meditation aspects of meditating with the healing crystals and working with the chakras. And then, like I said, I got, a lot of different activities and different modalities that we could use with that section of it as well. So that's one of the things that I've been working on, putting together to figure out which way we're going to go to, start the new year on the right foot, Baba, and to make things manifest, at a high level, and to bring about the true spiritual awakening, the aspects of manifesting that ashe.
Yeah, that's powerful. Okay. Now, in respect to Taweday, I've had, throughout the years, respond to questions about it, and what you just stated really kind of echoes why Taweday is necessary. It's not that we're literally doing something else, but it's the intensity, it's kind of turning up the heat a little bit, it's kind of, working on like a sprinter. If I got to work 4 years just to cut a couple of seconds off, from the Olympic trials, so it's that time when we bring forth the ISESE of the year, okay, when we bring forth, that which we have been working on and working through, and as we learn about the continual expansions of the Odu, and how through time the Odu become personified, if you will, they become real to us. It's not just, oh, I'm reading the Odu, or my Odu is, or I got a reading and the reading said this and that. It's like, oh, okay, over time, the Odu become more than words. They become transformational. They become transmitters. They become closer to us, not because we depend on them, but because we walk with them, not because we work them, but because they are with us. Okay, to continually have this notion that they're to be worked, they're to be at our command based on, quote unquote, what we do for them through time. And I'm speaking as an elder now, and an elder who's been in this tradition for as long as many out there may be old. There will come a time, not based on my experiences alone, but based upon studies of the elders, who would state that Okay. Baba OrisaGbemi, could you take that thing? Thank you. You know, based on the elders, okay, what is it that we are working towards? You know, because we can't pass on valid and sacred ways, not connecting back to today's Taweday Odu Osun, to pass on to the generations if we aren't regenerating ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? It's not that we're passing knowledge on. Okay, we can write books and say, okay, well, here's the book. You know, we can give different types of, you know, wisdom and advices. But what they'll do, keys in on, is what are we practicing? Okay, what are we practicing that the generations see? Okay, dedicated practice. What are we modeling? Because you can have people write some very profound books and not be sensitive at all to the community, to others, or could care less about future generations, you know, but they want to make that bestseller, you know, they you know, that's what drives them. Now, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that.
Right.
But what I am saying is those of us who are embraced by Taweday are moved by something more. And I use that as a subjective statement, perhaps a relative statement. It's more to me. You know, it's more to me. So again, Baba OrisaGbemi, you know, I see what you're doing, if I may, as more than a planner. You know what I mean? It's and it's a vehicle for people to think deeply about themselves. Just don't read over it. Get involved in it. That's part of the transformational. That's part of Iwari. That's part of the Odu. And I commend you for it, you know, Ekuche. And
Appreciate it.
we'll keep moving forward. And you know, I shared with you that I snatched little pieces out of Starseeds and Young Kings
Yeah.
and incorporate in my teachings. You
No, I
know,
appreciate it.
schools system. You know, I'm not getting any paid. I'm not getting paid anything more or less because I'm doing it.
Right.
But I am being enriched
Gotcha.
by the ancestral spirit, because these young kings and queens, they are the next generations and the generations after that. And they're going to remember, and they're going to remember seeing us on YouTube, on the screen, in the classroom. They don't see us. They don't see us. They don't hear us, you know? And even sometimes when we try to plant seeds, the soil is barren. So we have to nurture the soil as well as have potent seeds. You know? And
Sure.
people say, well, why Tawede? Well, because on Tawede, that's what we focus on, you know? And how do we know that well, the individual that is manifested Tawede, that's what he is saying. Just like everybody else is saying what they're saying about what they do.
Right. Right.
You know, and that's why we have Tawede. I've had people, you know, I'm gonna say this and then sit back, but I've had people say, well, isn't Kwanzaa enough? You know, why are you doing this Tawede thing? I said, because every time I walk past a Christmas tree, it's Christian. Every time I walk past a Hanukkah, it's Jewish. In terms of religion, spirituality, generational, you know, community binding. And I said, well, when I walk past Kwanzaa, I see celebratory. I see Black consciousness. I gave some of the first Kwanzaas in Newark. Okay. But what was missing for me was the God concept. What was missing to me was not just the spirit of Black consciousness, but the spirit of Black ancestral continuance via quote unquote worship and philosophical application, you know? So, you know, after a while, it's like, okay, well, if anybody needs to come up with something new, it has to be from among us who have explored the Black consciousness and the Black movement. But now with ISESE and ATR, African traditional religions, as a greater part of who we are, then why can't our sacred time be amongst the world? And then why can't we go in and reflect on our Orisha, our prophet figure, our sacred verses, our meaning and definitions of life? Okay, and recognize that to be spiritual, yeah, okay, fine, but to not have ancestral reverence, to not have Orisha, you know, to not have Ori, to not have a commitment to the betterment of our community, mentally, spiritually, as well as physically. Okay, and actually get in there and fight for our people is something that, you know, I guess I just got a little tired of people always wanting to celebrate, you know, and not meditate and not contemplate.
Right.
So,
nah, I love it. I love it, Baba. It reminds me of that. I can't remember the exact phrase. I don't remember if it came where it came from, but I remember it reminds me of the quote of you know, if the mainstream or the main quote unquote society doesn't want you to sit at their table, you build your own. You know what I mean? You build your own table. So it's like for us coming from, you know, the ISESE, IFA, or any of the Africans, you know, traditional concepts of religious aspects, like we not really hip to that because we're not really into what I call it the weapon of mass destruction when we're talking about Christianity, because I feel like that's what it is, depending on your mindset and where you're coming from. But with that, you know, it's one of the things where we don't want to be a part of sitting at that table. So Kwanzaa is cool, and I rock with Kwanzaa, but I still appreciate what you did because you built the table. You built the table specifically for this specific demographic of practitioners, the people who practice, you know, the IFA ISESE tradition. So I rock with it, and you know, I wish I'd known about it, you know, further along than I did, but I know about it now, and I'm rocking with it. I'm gonna definitely do my best to play my part to, you know, celebrate it and to honor it and to live, you know, the I would say the heritage, the cultural, the historical cultural legacy, which is IFA ISESE, and I feel like Tawede does a phenomenal job with highlighting that. So I'm with you on that one, Baba.
Yeah, much appreciated, man. And of course, you know, I've had a lot of pushback through the years. You know, right. There's a lot of folks with 1 foot in this and then 1 foot in that, and if they had 2 more feet, they'd be someplace else. Yeah,
the hokey pokey dancers.
Yeah, you know, turn yourself around. You know, but my feet are firmly planted, you know, in IFA and ISESE. And that doesn't mean that I'm against anything else or anybody else. But, you know, I have to be where I am and from that, you know, give what I'm so moved to give. You know, I just don't wake up one morning and say I'm just gonna do something. You know, it took years to conceptualize this and put it into motion, test it out. You know, we of course embraced it at the Elay over the years, but I kind of kept it there. I wrote about it, you know, put it out to the world a little bit, you know, and I guess I wanted to see if it would dissolve, you know, within me. To be honest, you know, just a waste of time. You know, people, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do. And, but then there was something, no, don't you let this go. Don't you let this go. You know, if you're a priest, okay, you're a high priest. You know, recognize that. Just don't say you are that. Recognize that. And as I stated, in the Tawede dudes, it's like recognition. We need to underline that word cognition in recognition. Cognition, you know, is being cognitive. It's thinking. If you can see yourself, you know, as Baba Iya, you know, Babalawo Iya Nifa, but seeing yourself is, and I dare say this, is not enough. Seeing yourself as anything is not enough. I mean, it's important, but it's not enough, you know. But what do you recognize yourself as? You know, because I can see myself as, you know, a great basketball player at 5'6", you know, when I think of Curry now. But you know, I have to say, well, do I really recognize myself as that? Is my mindset that? And it's like, no, your mindset is educator. Your mindset is spiritual. You know, it's not just what the Odus are saying when people do their readings or, you know, they're mounted. It's that, okay, I'm getting a glimpse of it. I never really saw it before. I'm getting a glimpse of it. I see it, and now I recognize it. When I going out and giving talks, lectures and all, you know, I would start, you know, it's good to see my people, but I say, when Orunmila come down, and Orunmila doesn't ask if you see me. Orunmila asks, do you recognize me?
It's a difference.
You recognize me?
Definitely a difference.
Yeah. So we have, you know, a whole lot of people who are seeing themselves, and, you know, and getting glimpses of themselves, you know, and that's beautiful. But when you kind of sit amongst the elder, or you hear an elder speak, you know, I'm not going to speak down to you. You know, how else can you look up to elderhood? How else can you look up to your future if there are no models, if there's no one who's dedicated not just to the practice, but who is so devoted to say, I'm going to take these risks. I'm going to bring forth Taweday. You know? And I'm going to say, here is a way to look at it. There's no ritual or form. There's no rules to follow. Okay. There's no strict, you know, do it or be damned kind of thing. You know? But as adults, you know, reflect, use the tools that are provided in the Awakening book, in the Elder Reflections book, and say, this is the spirituality that created the Oyo Empire, that created Old Oyo, that created the 4 stages of Ile Ife, that created Benin and the Iya, the Great Wall of Benin, that created the Great Zimbabwe Wall. Okay. What were those people doing except this, you know? Growing and establishing their own ways of worship and their own times of worship. And I like what you said about OrisaGbemi, is that, you know, we're doing this for us. This is our table.
I say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, that's real. We're definitely doing it for us, and it is our table, because I mean, there was E5 channels out there, excuse me, that I got word of. I haven't personally like followed any of them websites, Baba Tolu's, but he had to pause it due to a lot of the work he's doing with traveling and all that. But other than that, I didn't really tap into any of the ones that were out there. No, I take it back. There's a couple. Let me take that back. Shout out to I can't think of the sister's name. Elemi, and I can't remember the name of her channel, but I'm pretty sure somebody in the tribe would know her work. But I like her channel. She has good content. And then there's a couple more that I have seen in passing. But shout out to all the people who are doing the work and who are doing it the right way. Shout out to them. And we're definitely doing it, the right way, our way. In regards to that, let's see, I got a comment here. What was the idea behind the different Tawede greetings? Baba, you wanna jump on that one for Karade Nation tribe tribe enforcer, my boy IFA Egun Karade Nation in the building. What's good with you, family?
Yeah, well, I mean, that said, I'd just like to, direct people to the Global Perspective books, and I'm gonna be live and direct, okay, my brothers and sisters. Okay. When it comes down to greetings, okay, the only thing that I expect, and I just had this conversation earlier today. When people, I didn't greet you properly, et cetera, and I'm like, there's a new proper way to greet me, and you can extend it to anyone else who would embrace it. And they were like, yeah, okay, well, what is it? I want to know the proper way to greet you. I said, with a smile, with, a calmness of voice. So, Baba IFA, there are really no, constrictions. None. If I say Irio Tawede, that's the blessings of Taweday. And then people for ballet or to whatever degree, or do the whole kneeling thing, Ibikunye, that's fine. But I usually snatch them up right quick,
Dida.
Yeah, rise in peace,
Yeah, sure.
But I do understand that there are people who need to do that, just like there are people who need to have that done. And it does set up a hierarchical positioning, whereas when you address someone of a quote unquote higher rank, higher position, royalty as opposed to street market individual. I mean, I truly, I get it. I do, and the hierarchies of the religious orders, but across the board, address an elder as if that individual is an elder, not your playmate. You know what I mean? And granted, there are going to be those who are closer to the elders who will, move a little differently in private. But if it was an event going on, everybody would know how to position themselves. You understand? So when we look into Tawede, in our own corners of our own universes, is open to how you would like to be addressed and how you would have those close to you address you. And if the sincerity is there, if the warmth and love is there, then trust me, I'd rather have that than people all on the floor and feeling, they got to do this the right way and then talk bad about you behind your back. That part, or just positioning themselves and not really feeling, for the benefit. There's been kings who've been murdered in their sleep. Okay. by the very same people who were kneeling before them that afternoon.
Yeah.
You see, so I'm not down with that. I need people around me who love me. Why? First of all, because I love myself, and I'm going to feel from that position whether you're being sincere with your love or you just going through the motions. So that's why I don't set any type of way to be any type of way except genuine and be for real, and within the structure of your particular table, so to speak, your elay, be it mental or physical, a physical construct, is that there's harmony within, man. That there's harmony. Okay. And people who need to do all that, I'm down with it. It's like do what you need to do. But
Right.
yeah.
I should.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a couple more questions too. And shout out to Queen Liquid Watazia Elemi from Yayo Botanica. I rock with her channel. I like Elemi. And the other brother, Spanish brother from I want to say I don't know if he's from here, but I think he lived here in like the Florida area. But Baba Joseph IFA, his channel is pretty cool too, man. So shout out to the other Shay channels that doing their thing and been doing it, before Ashe came about. So shout out to them. And shout out to the people who's doing the work and doing it the right way, man, because I see a lot of bullshit, I gotta say it, lack of better words, with people going mudslinging out there, throwing out all kind of foolishness on the internet, man. So I don't really get tangled up into tizzies with the drama and the bullshit, but shout out to the people who's doing the work and who's doing it the right way and making a positive impact. That's what we strive to do here at Ashe. So and I appreciate the tribe. And Kosi had a dope question. I felt like it was a good one, but I'll pull his to the front. Brother Kosi wanted to know why is Osun on top of Orunmila's staff?
Now, is he? Could and Kosi, are you saying Osun, or are you looking at Osun? I just want to make sure.
Because I know we spoke about it I don't know if it was a live stream, but I know we spoke about it on the podcast before. Went into it, but I don't know. I can't recall if it was a live stream. But Brother Nkosi, if you could share which one you're speaking about, Osun or Oshun, and to differentiate, just for the sake of, because I don't know if YouTube lets us put the extra attributes to the letters, so you can put Oshun for the river goddess with the H. And then just for the sake of clarity for us, and then the Osun for the staff, OSUN, if you don't mind, brother, so that way Baba can answer that one properly. But I'll roll to the next one, and I'll come back to Nkosi once he puts that in the chat. But Brother Ifa Egun had another one. He said he was interested in how you came up with the greetings at the different levels within global perspectives.
Well, okay, I see this as a continuation of the first time. When we say Kama Warisha, that let us look towards the Orisha, and I resonated with that phrase as a part of an Oriki, which was highlighted in the book Guinea's Other Sons, SUNS. Okay, by M. Warner Lewis. And as I'm reading through this, and now mind you, she's not coming from the Nigerian source; she's coming from the Caribbean source, and her research led her to speak with elders, who of course had been trafficked to the Caribbean. And via their ancestors, have passed on these orikis and kind of praise songs that were going on, and something when I was reading this praise song, Kama Warisha, and then it came to Kama Warisha, and it's let us look towards the Orisha, and then the question, why are we looking every place else? even people who say they're into my lekes and, I'm getting all, been bayed up and carrying on. But I'm like, well, who are you really looking to? And of course, I'm speaking of quote unquote religiosity. Who are you looking to? Are you really looking towards your Orisha? Or are you just doing Orisha? There is a difference, and I'm not saying anything against anybody. But all I'm saying is that we need to recognize differences and then determine where are we. Okay, because it's getting ready to be 2025, being fakers basically, is not gonna last long because of social media and because of access to knowledge, and because there are those of us in our 70s and older who were the founding individuals of ATRs in this country. So I've lived long enough, and been with this long enough to know that many, dare I say most, are not looking towards Orisha. They're doing Orisha, but they're not looking towards Orisha.
Right.
And so when I came across Kama Orisha and the chant song came to me, it was like, okay, well, one of the reasons why we don't do it is because no one is impressing it upon us. Right. No one is showing us that there is something more to getting possessed and getting a reading and, doing Ifa and then, okay, and Coach, I got it. And then seeing, could you put Ifa Segun's back up?
Oh, my bad. I thought you was
okay, not a problem. Because see, it's a deep question.
Okay, gotcha.
So again, Bobby Facia going the Kama Orisha, it became the chant song. To say we are looking towards the Orisha. We are looking towards the Orisha. I'm not trying to do the whole universal thing. Well, we got Jesus, we got Buddha, we got Muhammad. Yes, we do. But here we see them, but are we looking towards our Orisha? Is that our path? Is that our saving grace? And when we say Ifa Bewao, and like, well, Ifa, you are our saving grace. Okay, Ifa Bewao, Ifa, our saving grace. But we weren't hearing these terms back in the day. They were not part of Ilays. I'm telling you straight up, they were not part of the embracing of African spirituality. No one was going in. No one. Okay? There were some glimpses of it. There were little peeps of it, but everything was about prayer, song, dance, ebos, and divination. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? And then again, all of that kind of led into, we're not with these forces. We know we're controlling them. We're sending them to do what we want to do, or we're calling on them to do what we want them to do. And yeah, okay, part of the growth cycle, one would say. But again, and in closing, at what point are we looking towards the Orisha? And at what point are we embracing Ifa as our saving grace? And Ifa Segun could continue, but let's just let it rest there. So when people do go to global perspectives, as I was saying with Baba OrisaGbemi earlier, they're not just reading over it. They're doing like you're doing. You're reading into it, highlighting side notes, questions, getting a mind frame so that it becomes a seed planted on soil most fertile. And I appreciate that. I do. Ashe.
Ashe, yeah, nah, I appreciate y'all in the comments. Shout out to Queen, Brother Kansu, and Kosi, Fasagun, the whole tribe. DJ Quico, we got you. Peace and blessings, Tara. Appreciate you joining us this evening. We're on the Friday Night Lights edition of the African Spirituality Experience. Bye-bye. So we want to hit in Kosi's, and then because we still got some more questions coming up too that I can bring to the floor. But so Nkosi was saying that he was speaking of the. Let me pull it back up. He was speaking about the rooster. Osun and not Osun.
Okay. All right. Briefly, because I try not to take too long to answer the,
No, I got you.
People, but Bird went to the diviner because Bird was having some very difficult times, and the diviner had the Bird make minor offerings for the greater good. And so Bird went to Orunmila and had the discussion with the Orunmila that, okay, I can't procreate. I can't conceive or bring about conception. And if I don't, then I will become no longer. So Orunmila, kind of looked into the situation and saw where Bird was earnest. The offerings have been made following the wisdom of the Odu. Bird did manage to make its way up to Orunmila, and Orunmila is like, okay, I see that you're putting in the time, the effort, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. I'm going to give you creation, continual. You will procreate. Bird went back, and of course, pregnancy, birds, everything was going well. So Bird came back to thank Orunmila, and in doing so, stated to Orunmila that it would forever be a devotee of Ifa, that it would forever stand as one of the voices of Ifa. And on the Ifa staff, you may see a bird to the right and a bird to the left of the circular center. And in that kind of bonding between the two, Orunmila placed Bird at the top of the opa of the staff for the Babalawos to symbolize the devotion, the work, the appreciation, and the procreation, the continuation of thought, the continuation of Ifa, the continuation of bearing. That's why, Brother Nkosi. Okay? Ashe.
Ashe. And then we got some more, I believe, in here too. And while I try to find the comments, family, I got, as I was saying in the comments, I got free copies of all my, not all of them, but most of my ebooks. I'll be giving away the links in the comments. I think I put one in, but I'll put them in again. And then, so I think the new Spiritual Awakening Journey, that link will be in there for the free download, as well as copies of Young Kings, free ebook downloads will be in there, as well as Starseeds, free ebook downloads will be in there as well. And then we had some new merch drop today, man. The Black Panther Party merch dropped. I'm rocking my fresh Black Panther Party hoodie, man. But I got the Black Panther Party new merch drop today as well. So in honor of Taweday, I'm gonna drop a 16% off discount code as well for all the members who are on the live stream, man, to get a discount for that, because we're definitely trying to make it do what it do with Taweday and really like pouring into the community. Whereas, the way this system is built, it's more about taking away out of our pockets, with the whole holiday season, and you know what I mean, like the gifts, and I'm not knocking anybody's religious holidays or what have you, but for me, every day is a holiday. If I wake up and I'm breathing and my heart is pumping, that's a holiday. That's a day for me to give gratitude. That's a day for me to give thanks. I ain't putting none above, or none under, except for birthdays and New Year's, man. I definitely like birthdays, and then to be alive to see a new year come in. But with that, I definitely want to share that with the tribe. So I'll be putting those links in a few. And then we got a question from DJ Quico. He says, why again does Orunmila honor Osun by wearing yellow?
You want me to address it or you?
Yeah, you got it, Baba. You got it.
Okay. Well, let's look at it this way. Osun is symbolic of various aspects, tendencies, intuitiveness, insightfulness of what we may loosely define as the feminine essence. Okay. And then, as a anthropomorphizing, we're going to shape these tendencies, these personalities, these natures, these characteristics into a flesh and blood, if you will, on a spiritual plane. This is how she looks. And you'll notice in different cultures through time, the Osun physical form has become more and more, dare I say, Euro male dominated, okay? Sexual, not sensual, sexual, okay? Curved of youth, full of breasts and buttocks, okay? We don't get a lot of that in the actual Odu, trust me, right? But that aside, the symbolizing of Osun, and throughout the IFA ISESE cosmology, we'll see that Osun was once the wife of many of the Odu, Obatala, Shango, okay? And then we have Ifa, Orunmila. And there was a time, there was even some difference whether was she with Egun or not. Well, it's not her. It's the symbolizing of the feminine presence. So Orunmila honors the feminine beyond the physical, the nature of, the characteristics of, the bearing and being of. And throughout the Odu, Osun is highlighted as a saving grace. Osun, the only one who can go to Olodumare and plead for the continual salvation of humankind. And Orunmila, as a prophet figure, is saying, yes, this essence must be within our existence, because if it's not, we may just cease to exist. So Osun again becomes symbolic of the humanities, of humanity. And why wouldn't any man, and in this case specifically Orunmila, honor that and embrace it? So that's why, my dear. That's why.
I sure. See, I think it might have been a couple more questions in there too. Let's see, can I find them? Yeah, I'm not sure. I had to look for them because it's a bunch of comments, but I'm not sure how many of them are questions.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think that might be it for the question, Baba. Yeah, so
can I continue on the about Osun?
Yeah, yeah.
And just to take into how we of Ifa ISESE embrace the feminine, okay, and even that has to be put into quotes, because I mean, really, outside of the hormonal, what is feminine and what is masculine, more or less of what we kind of conceptually embrace via nature, but also by what society deems. You know,
Right.
the aggressive male is more manly. You know, the quiet guy, you know, who doesn't really bother anybody, but then, you know, he's not as man, you know. So it's like, but really, they're both males,
Right.
you see. But you know, we kind of have this way of thinking because it's the way that we've been taught. Different societies have different modalities. And when talking about religion, Ifa doesn't see women as the source of all that's evil, you know, as the bringers of sin, as the temptress, as the seductress, you know what I mean? And no fault being on the man, as if Adam couldn't say no. You know,
Right.
as if he couldn't say no, or like, yo, let me talk to God about this for a minute. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And then let's pull you in and let's have a conversation. Since
I think the wrong head was directing traffic, Baba.
yeah, but I mean, you know, since God created me, it would seem like, and then He created you from me, that I would be closer to Him, so thereby, you know, have greater, you know, control over the situation.
Right.
But you know, I'm only saying that to say that when we are bombarded with this, you know, the femme fatale, you know, when we are bombarded through our religiosity and what we believe in, I'm like, come on, sister, do you really believe that you as a woman are the cause of sin and not salvation of this world? You know, do you really believe it? Okay. Because see, in IFA ISESE, aside from the syncretism with Catholicism, not other, you know, African religions, quote unquote, within Africa and the New World, the Western Hemisphere. So it's like, you know what? We can go further and say, why does Orunmila honor the Odu, who was said to be one of his wives at the time? Okay. So if we see our exchange, our interchanging of ideas and energies as being harmonious, no one's faulting women for being the downfall of humankind, you know, and no one's faulting men. We're just wrestling with better understanding our natures, okay, and the nature of our natures and who we are, and embracing that. We all don't have to be extroverts. We all don't have to be introverts, you know, but we can all meet and get the job done. You know, we don't all have to have, you know, blazing personalities, and we don't all have to be, you know, always in a shell, but we can meet and get things done because we're not faulting one another for who they are. We're not set to believe anything except in the greatness of the individuals, which then leads to the greatness of the empire, the community, okay, the land that we walk on. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to include that in terms of the feminine essence and how it's uplifted in IFA ISESE, right down to the Odu, the name Odu itself, you know, by some translations is the feminine. I've seen where other people say, well, that it means something else because of the intonation and all that. They say, I get it, but you know, we doing what they call pidgin language right now. You know what I mean? You know, we will creolize the language to benefit us right here, right now. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, we got some more questions too, piling too, Baba. Kosi says, could you go deeper into the statement made earlier in discussion in regards to recognizing Orunmila as opposing to seeing him?
Yeah. I'll be brief, because see, this is basically class material, where we would have more time to dialogue but in Kosi, I'll just put it to you like this, okay? Let's just say my grandfather, Ibaye, okay, and I'm speaking hypothetically now. Let's just say my grandfather has, due to age, memory lapse. Okay, what are some of the terms for it? People get all, you have forms of amnesia. You have forms of,
amnesia, but it's a couple of other ones that
I'm
praying for right now.
You can't remember.
It'll come back to me.
So I walk into the room. He sees
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. Okay. And then there's another one. Okay. So he sees me in Kosi. He sees me. He's looking right at me. He knows I walked in the room. But because of his mental condition, he doesn't recognize me. He can sit there and have a conversation with me, and all the while wondering who I am, and even at times asking, well, who are you again? You see, when we see something or someone, okay, on any level, physical or metaphysical, that doesn't mean that we recognize it. It just doesn't. Because when we start, grasping what it means to recognize, we just look at the word and see cognitive. We see recognizing, cognizing, recognition, cognition, which means we have to go through a mental stepping in order to connect what we see with what it means to us. Okay? Because if we just go through this IFA ISESE thing, seeing ourselves, seeing our Orisha, seeing the deepness of Orunmila, and do not strive to recognize. One of the exercises that I would have my priestly initiates do would be to, as they go out into the world, they have to take note on situations that they encounter. Okay, they don't, as observers. Okay, for the most part, and even if it involves them, for the most part, and take note, and then determine what that situation connects to in regards to the Odu. You see, what and why? Because to me, it just wasn't enough to sit there and have an individual memorizing the Odu. You have to see, you have to see beyond seeing it. You have to recognize it. You have to recognize it in the world. Okay. And people do what they see two people madly in love. They may be sitting there. We got the Alzheimer's. Okay. Dementia. That's it. So we say, oh, that's so Osun like. Oh, that's really Osun. Okay. Because, they're hugging and they're looking warmly into each other's eyes. And then you look up and you may find that had nothing to do with Osun. In terms of that love, that might have been his long lost sister. You know what I mean? But, we see, and then we assume, and then we dare to infer based on that little bit of knowledge that could be a dangerous thing. But when we start to recognize via the Odu what the possibilities are, well, Baba, if it seemed like this possibility, it might have been Oshe Meiji, you know, but again, it could have been Osun. It could have been could have been mother and son, you know, long lost relationship. Okay. But just because we see somebody embrace, we lend more of what we think it is to perhaps what it actually is. And so, and that helps us to become better diviners, because we're not placing our vision on the inner vision. Okay. But through those stages and exercises, our inner vision connects with the inner vision of what is actually or most likely happening. We could be wrong, but the better we get at it, the more we are right at it. Okay.
Facts.
So yeah, so that's what I mean about, you know, becoming more of the recognizer and taking more responsibility for recognition, of which reflection is an exercise in like say in the journal book, in the Elder Reflections book, because this table is about those of us who are reflecting, who are past the point of seeing ourselves as this, but we recognize who we are. I recognize who I am, and I can come up with Tawede, and I can write the handbook, and you know, and I can put out materials, and I can go lecture because I recognize who I am. I just don't see who I am. You know, and that recognition empowers me. I can walk anywhere at any time and say, this is what I'm about, without hesitation, without negotiation, because I recognize who I am, and I stand firm in it. You know, so we'll go through the stages. Okay, right now most of us are still at seeing, and the only reason we're not working towards recognition is because nobody really wants us to recognize anything, really. You know, they just want to put us out in the field and pick the cotton, crop the tobacco, you know, and just, you know, make a whole lot of money for everybody else except themselves, sharecroppers. You know.
No, I got it. I agree. We got excuse me, we got some more questions too coming up. Shout out to Tara. She said she wasn't quite sure as to how to word it, but pretty much along the lines of like, I would assume, how does, I guess, a person who's in the LGBTQ community, like, are they, I guess, welcomed in the IFA ISESE tradition, or are they shunned, or, you know what I mean? Like, I believe that's kind of where she wanted to go with that particular.
Yeah, I hear, you know, it depends.
Great question, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It depends. It depends on who the Oloye B is, who the head of the household is, who's the Oba of a given temple or community, Egbe or Ile. You know, to me, it depends on, you know, where you are. You know, now I'll tell you straight up, from where I am, it doesn't make any difference to me. I've had, you know, people in from various types of relationships and various types of ways, but they were good people, and they came to my temple with respect and honor and the willingness to work, you know. So I'm not all into your sexual, you know, homo, hetero, hobo, you know, the hobo, you know what I mean?
Listen,
I ain't got nothing to do with that.
listen, I want to chime in on that question too, Baba.
Go on, man.
And the reason why is because, you know, I take pride in being real and being transparent, and just, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So for me personally, Tara, to answer your question, I personally, years ago, that would have been a major issue for me, because years ago, for what odd reason, I guess in hindsight now, with growth, development, expansion, elevation and all that in regards to like my mental and emotional and spiritual capacity, that would have bothered me because, I felt as if that is wrong in regards of how the creator created us, right? So that's my prior base knowledge. That was my prior base, PBK, in regards to where I was at that time, as a young man. So I think for me personally, it took a lot of growth for me to kind of get past that aspect of that mindset, because the way I saw it was that if you can't procreate, then it's not something that is, I feel like, in the natural order of things, right? But then in hindsight now, like I said, with growth and development, it makes a big difference, because now being someone who studies and learns from a lot of different teachers, shout out to Dr. Delbert Blair. He's transitioning, he's in the realm of the ancestors now, but I'm a student of his, and he's deep with metaphysics. He speaks a lot of metaphysics and extraterrestrial, experiences and things of that nature. But he taught along the lines of, at this point in time on the planet, we're at a state of pretty much emergency, to where there are beings who are coming in to take on the job and the task of doing the work of light workers, to come into the planet to heal the planet and to help heal humanity. So at times it's kind of like, for lack of better words, it's like with the draft in the military here. So he taught us as there are spiritual beings who are ready to come and enlist and to come into this planet to do this work at this time. And sometimes they're so ready to sign up that they don't care which body they come in. So they'll come into a body that might not necessarily identify with what they are as, in an auric spiritual way once they get here. So it's like they, might still be able to be attracted to the sex that, they were attracted to prior to them coming into this body, because they're advanced beings. Some of those things take place, and amongst a lot of other different, I feel like there's a lot of different viewpoints on that. But for me personally, it was about growth, from going into that limited mindset to growing into the mindset of Baba. So now I'm like, I don't care, because I look at it like, what I do care about, which is at the top of the list for me, is respect. If you show me love and respect, I'm showing you love and respect. I don't care if you're a Christian, don't care if you're a Muslim, don't care if you're a Buddhist. None of that matters to me, because I don't have to go to wherever you go to pray. You know what I mean? The same thing like what Baba was just saying about people's sexuality. For me personally now, it doesn't matter to me. As long as you show me love and respect, I'm going to show you love and respect, because I'm not going to bed with you. So it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's just my thoughts on it. Now, other people will have other opinions, and some people ain't probably going to rock with it, but I just look at it like, it's none of my business who people sleep with, and who they pray to. You know what I mean? Because as long as they share the proper, or I should say, as long as they share the same regards and respect that I take pride in giving to people, then we ain't gonna have no issues. Because I don't give a damn if you're straight or gay or whatever the case. If you come at me disrespectfully, then that's an issue. That's something that I'm not going to deal with or stand for, because I don't feel like I have to, because I'm not coming at anybody else that way. I'm not going at nobody else about anything being disrespectful. Kind of like when the trolls come to the channel with the Bible thumping and the religious gang banging. I had to get into a tizzy with one yesterday because they came here bringing that drama. It's like, we ain't even on that here. If you really paid attention, you would know that we don't bash nobody. We just do what we do. And if it ain't for you, you can kick rocks, keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? But so that's my little 2 cents on that the aspect. But it's a great question though, because I do feel like that's something that I'm sure I know it's in the culture. As a matter of fact, I've seen it, but I do wonder, how it's either welcomed and received or rejected. And I think that's something that I feel like as we evolve, we have to figure out how to put the proper measures in place for us to make sure that we're handling and dealing with everybody accordingly. You know what I mean? Because the way I see it is that depending on someone's sexual orientation doesn't give me the right to eliminate them from someone who I could do work for, who, you know what I'm saying, who I would try to help to heal or empower and to, educate, whatever the case may be. So I guess it all depends, like Baba said, on who, whose house and who's in charge and all that. But I feel like from a human perspective, it really shouldn't matter. I feel like we love and respect each other as humans. That's enough for me.
That's a powerful statement. I mean, and again, this is another part of, class discussion and all. but I can't help but to share this experience briefly. There was a time I was a member of IFA chiefs and priests, nationwide, but we would meet periodically down in Virginia, I believe it was, and the head of this organization was a professor at one of the universities, and he was very adamant about bisexuality and this and that, and how it's not a part of IFA and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, how do you know? You know what I mean? There's been two moon people and androgynous people since the beginning of time, and it's documented. And you think on the whole continent of Africa, I mean, since forever, you know what I mean? That co-wives didn't get together and co-wife with each other, you know what I mean? Or it's something that we turn away from because basically that's what we've been taught, and for all the reasons why. But when we look into, the reality and the explorations of nature, and then going even beyond, as OrisaGbemi stated, in terms of being moved by spirits beyond us, then I raised those concerns, and these Babalawos and chiefs, they started to ostracize me, and it's like, I'm saying on those grounds, because I'm accepting people as people. I'm accepting beings as spiritual beings in flesh and blood cloth, like I said last podcast, this is just a spaceship. We don't really know who's commanding it, So we're supposed to be the high priest, and why are you getting yourself, as we say, all in a tizzy?
Getting in a tizzy.
Because I'm embracing people of two moons. I'm embracing good people who are doing good work for my Ile and for what we call back for Yoruba term we were using back in the day, in general. And at the same time, you're going against it, but are you looking at other fields of endeavors, like the arts, the sciences, the theater? Are you looking at these Catholic priests and what they're doing as you want to do your whole syncretism thing and give worship to the Catholic, and all that kind of thing? Are you looking at anything except what you see? Are you not recognizing who we are as a people? And if we have been traumatized into being bisexual, due to the unfortunate events that could happen in anybody's life at any time, okay, you're going to turn those people away because, that's a sin against God. Going to the cathedral with that, because see, they ain't telling you the truth about what they doing, So let's be for real. It's about who you are and what you want to see. That I wound up leaving the group. I said, you don't have to fire me. I'll quit. You understand? Because you're not that important to me. Who are important to me is my people, and they come in various shapes, forms, orientations, or whatever. And the moment I hear anybody, in my circle doing that hate talk, because hate is contagious. And I told you, I had that one student, we're just going to bash gay people and talk about how in Jamaica they would hunt gay people down and beat them. And I'm like, well, who's orchestrating this? And he was like, my preacher. I'm like, man, get on ahead with that. Because how can you say all about your Jesus and God loves everybody and all that, but then you're going to listen to some knucklehead telling you to go out and target and breed hate in the very community. And I'm saying, if that preacher ever have a child or a grandchild that walk in the room and tell them that they're gay, hopefully that'll be a wake-up call. That hate has no place. Hate has no place where it's not welcome. And we're not going to welcome hate in the Karade Nation. I've got 2 Moon people who are priests and priestesses.
Yeah.
Who, you know, and
Wow.
I'm proud of them, you know, and it's all good, you know.
I agree with you, Baba. And like I said, for me personally, I want to share part of my story and journey because, like, just out of sense of being real, you know, and transparent. In regards to, you know, answering the question, and Tara appreciated the response and said that, you know, she'll follow back up with us, maybe possibly more questions. But we do have some phenomenal commentary going on in the comments, man. So I was telling the tribe, I'm gonna do my best to get it in here. I didn't want to interrupt, but I'll start with this one because this actually kind of is. We driving on the same road. We driving on the same road, and you know, we passing through similar towns with this question. So I'm gonna bring this one to the floor. I think this was next in line. And the question is, what is the role of the womb man in IFA ISESE?
What is the role?
I'm assuming is it if you could put more into that, Osun, please, like in regards, is it like in regards to like in the leadership role and the matriarchal role, or are you referring to like the sister wives role? Like which way were you going with that? And then I'll come back to double back with you on that one. So then I'm gonna go to another question and I'll come back to hers when she lets us know. Let me see. Bro Kansu had another question. That was the difference. What's the difference between Orunmila and IFA? I think that's a good question too. Some people may not know that.
Okay. Well, Orunmila is the personification of IFA. IFA is the corpus. IFA is the cosmology. IFA is the always more than. You know, and I keep going back to Professor Sophia Olawale's statement that Ifa is religion, but more than religion. Ifa is philosophy, but more than philosophy. Ifa is culture, but more than culture. You know, Ifa is life, but more than life. That is Ifa. Okay, Orunmila is the quote unquote prophet figure. Some may argue the lead philosopher. I don't see where the two are different within the African concept, okay, of Ifa. So Orunmila is the one who walked the earth. Ifa is the universal construct. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, Orunmila is the diviner, the prophet figure. Okay, the symbol of the expanded consciousness. Ifa is the essence of wisdom, the essence of creation, the essence of Fa. Okay, so that's the difference. Now, Orunmila is often, especially in the light of the syncretisms, called Ifa, and then we will find more about Orunmila being called Ifa in the same way that I, hear some Christians say Jesus is God. You know, I wasn't hearing that back in the 60s and 70s, but up in the 80s and 90s, I started hearing more of that. Jesus is God. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. But see, this is what people do. So at a time, Orunmila, the prophet figure, becomes Ifa, but is not Ifa. And then when I would say to some Christian associates, well, Jesus is not God. Well, yes, he is. Jesus is God. Okay, well, end of conversation. Have a nice day, because I ain't here to change you, and you definitely not going to change me. I don't see it, but I do see it.
Right.
And so I personally don't call Orunmila IFA, but I do know some people who do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, it's your world. Make the best of it.
Mm-hmm.
But technically speaking, Orunmila is not IFA. Orunmila is the voice of IFA, you know,
Personification.
teacher of IFA. Mm-hmm.
No, I was agreeing. I said personification.
Personification of IFA. Yes.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of comments. So back to Osun Niyi, and they was laughing about you calling the when you said homo, hetero, hobo. Tribe was laughing. No, I said they going nuts in the comments, man. For real. Listen. But yeah, and then Queen made a strong comment as well. She said that she knows an Awo that said it was taboo for them to initiate someone who was in the LGBTQ community. She said she never knew that could be a taboo, but we learn something every day. So I guess they just referred the person to another Ile. However, she did later state that same whoever that was never did, you know, tell her like what Odu it was that said that, you know, it was taboo. So I guess, you know.
Well, I mean, come on now. When people start jumping to Odu, like they jump the scriptures, they looking to find out whatever they want to find out to support what they want to find out, you know. And that I mean, come on, we're just keeping it real, you know. So you could find, you know, an Odu that says, you know, Oshun embraced everyone and she goes before Olodumare and prays for salvation. She doesn't break down if they're heterosexual, homosexual, you know, they're humankind. And if Orunmila states, you know, we are going to be the blessing for those who work their oris up to the point where they can grasp the vastness of creation, then we're going to teach them, you know. So it's like, you know, but like I said, you know, people come up with these, you know, notions given in any society, because I'm not going to say that there weren't people against it in ancient Africa, but I am going to say that there were people who were for it. So you're going to always have this. So if someone who is of that orientation goes to Ile, now I'll share this just to show you how heart-rendering it is.
Mm-hmm.
When people would come to me who were of that orientation, be they male or female, okay, or in a couple of cases transgender, and literally sit there and cry their hearts out from the pain and anguish that they received from other Ilays, and how people in those Ilays from the top down told them that they were no good, told them that, you know, they were cursed by God, told them that there's no room, you know, in any spiritual realm for them, you know, told bastards and bitches and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how you calling yourself a priest, and especially within African traditional, you know, how do you call in yourself?
That part.
You know, someone who cares about the suffering of humankind, and you know, bombard and destroy a person because they're not like you, or they don't fit into your little perfect world, you know. And then these people, you know, go out, commit suicide, or take all kinds of roads to self-destruction.
You said a 1,000 mouthfuls with that one, Baba, because that I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, we're good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you struck a chord because me personally, I have clients who are, you know, that, you know, are in that community. So I look at it like I'm not cool with that, because when I'm working with my clients and people that I know, you know what I'm saying, like I work with them the same way I work with anybody else. And it goes back to what we were talking about. I don't give a damn who you sleep with. You know what I'm saying? That ain't, first of all, it's none of my business. And second of all, I really don't care, because I'm not laying in that bed. So with that being said, like, And shout out to my clients who they know who they are. And then I won't ever put nobody's business online. But I work with people in that, who are in that community. So therefore, I show them the same exact love and support and respect that I would any other client. And let's just flip the script real quick. As a business consultant, I teach content creation and marketing. Excuse me. As long as a lot of other project manager, a lot of other aspects in business consulting. I've been doing that since 2017. So it's like, I'm not looking at who a client come, to me for services is sleeping with to determine what kind of work I'm gonna do with them. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me, whether it's in the spiritual or in a business way, in a field. Like it's being prejudiced. And I feel like, especially if we're of melanated descent, we should know how that feels to be, targeted by essentially not necessarily racism per se, but by prejudices. You know what I'm saying? And so I know how that feels as a Black man. And I have to speak to other Black men, especially young Black males, in regards to how to move in this space by dealing with that. And that's specifically what Young Kings is about, is teaching young Black males how to navigate in this Western cultural society and civilization, and giving a historical perspective on top of giving plays and strategies on how to deal with a lot of the things that we are bombarded with as Black males in America. So with that, I just think like that is pretty distasteful to turn someone away and bash somebody who I'm pretty sure is in a very vulnerable spot or space that needs help. And then for us of the priestly order to turn around and you know what I'm saying, and
demonize them, even more so than the society. And tell the truth, Queen, even if there are numerous Odus that, kind of nudge us towards being more humane and building stronger communities based on, embracing one another beyond the conditioned mind. And that leads me back to Osun. And I thought, Osun's about unconditional love. No, Osun is about unconditioned love. Because once you kind of step beyond your conditioned mind, then you can love unconditionally. But if you still have a conditioned mind, then, this person is this person is that, this person doesn't live up to my ideals, this person doesn't do that. I can hurt these people because I'm going to dehumanize these people. And these individuals come to me and I'm telling you that they're in so much pain. And I'm like, how can I not? How can I not, as a Babalawo, as a chief amongst my people, say within the realm, there are going to be myriads of peoples, like there are myriads of plants, like there are myriads of insects. Okay? And just see the beauty in that person, that plant, that insect. And see Ifa through it. You see that and take it a step further. Recognize what's going on inside of the person. Just don't see them for who you see them as or what you see them as. Because a heterosexual person can rob you, hurt you, and do you damage. Look within yourself to see within others. Okay. Now, and just to kind of briefly ride on the winds of what you spoke about project management. Now, imagine being a professor or teacher in a classroom. Okay. I remember the first time I had to work through a transgender being in the class. And this is a college class. I mean, these people are close to 30 years old. And I had to learn the pronouns. I had to call my daughters up because they're that generation. I'm like, well, what's the pronoun? Because I don't want to come across from my conditioned state of mind. That part. Now, if you want to be called them, then that's your prerogative. I will respect that. But you have to understand too that I came up with him or her. So if I slip, don't get yourself all in a tizzy. Okay, I'm telling them straight up. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you.
Where other people are coming from, as well as you want them to understand where you're coming from. And we got along just fine. I mean, we really, really did. Okay. And now in the high schools, they have certain groups, you know, like after school programs and clubs for individuals who feel themselves to be gay or have already made the commitment in the 11th, 12th grade. Have already made the commitment that was their lifestyle. And so they're set up in the school. So when I walk into school, I'm not going to teach you because you're gay. I'm not going to recognize you as, you know, of value to the community because you. It's like, come on, at a certain point, it just doesn't make sense to be so freaking freaked out. And then again, like I said, the very people who are teaching you this hate are behind closed doors.
Oh yeah,
in their closets as being unveiled on a daily basis.
Listen, when you brought up the Catholic priest, I said, "Oh, you going to the source now, boy." Listen, because so if we're gonna go, you know what I'm saying, and Kosi made a comment that I'm gonna chime into as well, in regards to that, and I'm with you on that, and Kosi, I know where you're going with that one. I agree. But before that, I wanted to share too. I had a similar experience, man, in the school. It was a high school. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it was actually like an extremely embarrassing moment. I felt terrible. I mean, I felt terrible, but I was I was doing a presentation, and it was for a school. I can't remember which town that school was in, but further south from where I'm at, about maybe an hour or so drive from where I'm at. But anywho, I was doing a presentation at the school, and I thought the class was it was supposed to be an all girls class, but there was a student in there who, you know, looking at, I'm 100% sure I'm thinking as a male. And so we got to talking about, you know, just different things. And I was sharing how I feel like a man is supposed to respect, you know, and honor a woman, you know, the female. And so I made some statement about something about, I forgot what it was, but in regards to how males should honor, respect, you know, and cherish the woman and females, etc. And then I was like, hey, I said, so what about you, my man over here with the, I think you might have some Jordan, and man, the whole class was like, that's a girl. And I was like, I was so blown by, like, I was like, what? Like, I'm talking about 10 out of 10 times. If you asked me that for a bet, I would have lost that bet 10 out of 10 times because I really thought it was a dude, a boy. And so I felt terrible. So I apologized like multiple times, and everybody was laughing at me. Even the teacher was like, trust me, she doesn't mind. She does, like, someone
been through it
like,
1,000 times.
That's
right?
a compliment. She's happy about that. So they try to, you know, they try to smooth it over with, but I still felt bad because I would never intentionally, you know what I'm saying, like do somebody like that. So it took me a little minute to get out my head about it. But you know, I spoke after the class and, you know, let them know. But it was cool, you know, but it was just like, you know, sometimes you don't know, you know, and I feel like it goes back to where how I feel about it is really about respect, man. I feel like if you come at me with respect, I'm gonna come at you with respect, period. Because like you said, a heterosexual person to disrespect you or rob you or kill you or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that part ain't really, you know, as to me, in high of a priority as the respect thing. And I feel like a person who respects themselves, for the most part, is going to always show that same respect for others because you got self-love, you have emotional intelligence, you have, you know, a solid foundation of who and what you are as a human being. And I feel like, you know, you're working on the path of working and living through Iwa. So as long as you're doing that, I feel like at the end of the day, that's what matters most to me personally. And we got some more comments and stuff.
I just want to say this before we go to the next one.
Go ahead, Bo.
Let's go. The ancestors are pushing me right now.
Gotcha.
Let's not forget the whole buck breaking thing during enslavement.
Yeah, buddy. And there's a documentary out on that one too, family. By Tariq Nasheed, the same brother that made Hidden Colors in 1804. He has a documentary about buck breaking. But yeah.
Right. So let you know, like I said last time, you know, about pointing fingers at a single households, you know what I mean, and they're raised with a father and blah 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 blah, where you snatching black men up and throwing them in prison, you know, and you miseducating and not educating, you know, to the point of desperation, you know, and you know it's all a setup, you know. Then you want to point fingers, you know, but you was the one that was breeding us and throwing, you know, men at 20, 40 women to chattel, basically slavery. And,
Mm-hmm.
you were the ones with the welfare system. Oh, the man can't be in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the
Well,
one forcing homosexuality amongst our young men through your buck breaking practices. So, y'all need to stop with this. And we of IFA ISESE, upon study, whether we fully accept it or not, whether we want to be like that or not, whether we're going to raise our kids like that or not. The whole thing is we have to embrace the reality of the situation and not hate one another.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's deep, and I don't want to go all the way, take the whole
Yeah.
show that way, but it is a town hall discussion that we did.
Yeah. I just wanted, like I said, I'm just a drum man.
Yeah, no. I'm saying just for all of us as a whole,
Yeah.
because like I said, and even myself, a lot of that is by design. Just like the butt breaking, like a lot of it is agenda and propaganda, and
Yes.
we saw a lot of that, with certain parties that with this whole
Mhm.
political thing is very strong with pushing that agenda. Now that's the part I'm not cool with, because
See.
I'm not rocking with people who are trying to intentionally influence
Yes.
the minds of children to
Right.
make them think. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where.
Use them.
That's a whole nother show, segment, lecture, etc. Because that's the part. Yeah, nah, I ain't with that bull crap. But anyways, yeah. But back to Osun.
Matriarch. Okay. Well, I mean, going back to the question of the role of women. Well, see, again, looking at life from a Eurocentric, white male dominated perspective, where women have to be in their place and women can't do this and that, and men have to control women, very kind of Abrahamic, and women have to cover themselves, and blah 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 blah. There didn't seem to be much of that going on under the auspices or the umbrella of IFA ISESE. We see women who are mothers, and we see women who are warriors. You know what I mean? We see women who are nurturers, and we see women who have brought about the greatness of understandings. Osun, even with divination. Okay. So the role of women and women as matriarchs, is basically culturally defined, okay, and even technologically defined, because if there's a time when lifting heavy burdens, from on a physical level, is part of the building, and men are more by nature design set to do that, and women are more by design of nature, set to nature and grow the children, for example. Then okay, we start to see differences. But when we now have machines that can do the heavy lifting, and men who, because aren't hunters, in the army, all their lives, et cetera, are able to stay at home and work from home. You see, so the roles can't be, and from my opinion, should not be so categorized by this is the role of the woman and this is the role of the man, because at the end of the day, it takes the harmony of both, and depending on the situation. Okay, back in the day, you would have never heard of a woman being a boxer, but back in the day, it wouldn't have been a problem, because you had female elite warriors, okay,
Yeah.
who were super bad.
The
Okay.
Oladamaje. How
Oh,
you say that?
yes.
The ones that were in Black Panther, the sisters from
Yeah.
what part of Africa were they from? Dagnabbit, shit. The
homie,
the homie, the homie warriors. Yeah.
okay.
That's one. Yes, sir.
Right, and we can go globally to the Amazons, the quote unquote the Amazons, and the Greek warriors, the whole Wonder Woman thing, and all of that. They're all there. So what we define as a role is basically what we've been taught to be as a role, as opposed to the harmonizing of the energies of the quote unquote masculine and the quote unquote feminine. There is no such thing as a role. There isn't. You know, if I got to take care of the kids, then I'm gonna take care of the kids. If I start telling, well, that's the woman's job. I mean, after a while, it's like, okay, what kind of sense does that make?
Takes a team, man.
I don't want my woman to go to work. I'm like, look, it's 9 o'clock. Shouldn't you be in your car right now?
Right.
Okay, because you know, we all have to join together. So we define the roles. So what is the role? The role is whatever you define it to be, and those within your community embrace it to be. You know, because if you're gonna go on that old school stuff, it gets a little rocky, especially in today's time.
Oh yeah.
You know, I remember being in a jump school because I was a paratrooper, and the year that I left, well, the time that I left, I won't even say the year. The time that I left was right before they were permitting women to be paratroopers in the 82nd Airborne.
I was gonna ask you if you was part of 82nd. I didn't know you was 82nd.
Yeah.
Airborne.
So I saw the women, you know, I saw them coming in. You know, just like what's coming out of the 688. You know what I mean? They were coming in. And some of the male soldiers were like, oh, there's gonna be a problem. And others was like, only if you make it.
Facts.
Only if you make it a problem will it be a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
So there's a lot of
times. Yeah. But just saying, the role is not, I'll put it this way. It would be dangerous to accept roles without discussing what needs to be done by whom and when at any given point.
SOPs, standard operation procedures.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Nah, and I agree with you, Baba. You're welcome. That's the same thing. So I was a truck driver for about 20-something years, you know, before finding my my calling and my path and my passion, you know, with speaking. And so now there's a trend where a lot of females, you know, are coming into the commercial, driving space, the CDL space. Yeah. So, you know, I've had several people ask me, you know, how do I feel about it? I'm like, do you think it's cool? I'm like, it's a job. They got bills to pay too. Like, you know, and then it's like, do you think it's dangerous? Yeah, it's dangerous. But hell, being a nurse is dangerous. Being a doctor is dangerous. Being, you know what I'm saying? Being a school bus driver or a teacher is everything is dangerous because at any given moment in this world, anything can happen. You know what I mean? So it's like being a nun is dangerous. Unfortunately, you got people shooting up schools. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, and I didn't say it like in a way of talking down on it, but I was just saying it in a way of co-signing that. Yes, I believe it's cool if a female wants to drive a truck. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why can't she get to the money and get to the bag? You know, behind a big rig because you know at the end of the day, we all got bills to pay. It's how I see it.
We're all able. I mean, it wasn't up until the 70s that a woman could even really have a bank account without a husband co-signing, you know, and all that kind of thing. So, you know, the whole women suffrage, the whole voting and all that kind of thing. So it's like the boundaries have to be pushed because really they're all just states of mind.
Right.
Those boundaries don't really even exist, you know, outside of childbirth.
Right.
You know, but like now, test tube babies. You understand? You know,
they try to get men doing that now.
Oh, they
yeah.
So now, what's the role of the woman? You know, but she's not needed to give birth to a child. You know,
on this side.
So now what? Or you can have a robot baby or whatever. You know what I mean? So what's the role? You know. And when it comes down to, you know, the sexual, they got dolls out and this, that, and the other thing. So it's like, okay, so then what is your role?
Yeah.
And when everything is being invented to take the place of that conceived notion of your role.
Yeah. It's deep. And you know, I just watched a movie last night on Netflix about an AI, about a dude. I don't want to tell the movie. I can't remember. I think it was like Subservient or something like that. I don't want to ruin the movie.
Servitude. I've got peeped it too.
You watched it?
Yeah.
It was deep. But you know what's crazy is that they showing real life stuff as they always do. And because think about it like this. The whole goal with this technology is to remove the human aspects of the human being, right? So if you think about most, especially with social media, most people spend hours upon hours upon hours a day scrolling on social media. So right then and there, they're working their plan as they have been for centuries, decades, and decades now. They're planning their work and they're working their plan. So the whole goal of the social media thing is to take people from the real world and then invest them into the digital world, into, you know what I'm saying, the technology world, the technical world, right? So you talk about social media, movies, you know, television shows, and if you break down the word television, which we do a lot of different words with phonetics, vision. So they're telling our lives visions damn near all the time when we're watching a lot of these shows anyways, you know what I mean? And it's subconsciously, our minds are being programmed subconsciously. So if we're not doing the work to tap into that third eye, to manipulate, controlling the energy for the Ori and the pituitary gland, or the mind's eye, third eye, first eye, whichever one you want to call it, then we're at a disadvantage, or we're doing ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually a disservice by not putting in the work to, you know what I mean, create that, I would say, some sort of force field to kind of safeguard that subconscious mind. And so with that, you know, it's a lot of stuff that's been going on to get people to like spend more time into the virtual reality world, so that way you're not as focused or as I should say aware of what's going on in the real world. And that's a real thing. So it's like, it's real programming. But with that movie, Baba, they really are showing where this society is going in regards to these robots and this technology. And if you even think about, we go back to the movie The Matrix, and I'm so glad that the spirit spoke to me to share this, but I'm not sure how many people know of, and I'm sure there's somebody in the tribe, if not most of the tribe probably know about the story of The Matrix. So The Matrix and Terminator were both visions of a melanated sister, a matriarch. If we're going to talk about what role the woman plays, she played the role of the visionary. So, and if you watch the movie The Matrix, the Oracle, the Oracle is the one who really created that book, or who really created that movie and created that franchise. That was a sister named Sophia Stewart, who Hollywood stole her idea from her book called The Third Eye that she wrote. And that's where they got the concept of The Matrix and the Terminator franchises from. They stole it from Sophia Stewart. She has one of the biggest lawsuits in Hollywood history from them stealing her work. And so that's where she was in the 80s. She wrote that in the 80s. I want to say like 81, 82. I had to share the link to her book. And hell, that's worth a podcast within itself, because she spoke about all these things that we're seeing right now. And she saw it in real time back in the 80s. And she predicted it. She wrote the book on The Matrix and Terminator. And then she saw where this world was headed. So she is a true oracle. She is a true seer and a visionary. And she used that mind's eye to create those, franchises that were stolen from her.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that. Go ahead, Baba.
No, I just, before I left my mind, I mean to interrupt. Along with servitude, I saw one before that, and it was just as, if not more so powerful. It's called Afraid. And they highlighted AI, because Afraid is AFRAID, and they highlighted AI because this AI was bringing about something to be afraid of. And I thought that was masterful, of the writers to choose that word afraid and then highlight AI, and then go on to tell this story about an AI who eventually overrides the programming.
Well, I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna check it out. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. It's deep, but one thing I'm gonna say, and shout out to matter of fact, Professor Small and Professor Cobb. We got a hell of a lineup coming these next few days, family. We got Professor Smalls will be on tomorrow. We're doing a live, I believe, at 7 p.m. So y'all check us out tomorrow. We'll be going ham with that one. And then also Professor Cobb will be back Monday night at 10:30 p.m. We're doing a nightcap, a late night joint. But I like to say that I believe it was Professor Carver that quoted the term AI for ancestral intelligence.
That's
like
me.
Oh, that was you. My bad, Baba Karade. My bad. Listen, all these babas and professors, it's hard to know where I borrow the terms from, man. But I make sure that I give credit because you and I know people have been taking the Ashe content and they ain't sharing where they got that. But it's cool,
It's all right.
That's what happens. But my bad, Baba, because I take pride.
No, it's all good, man. But
to quote our distinguished community elder, Oloye Baba IFA Karade, AI being ancestral intelligence. So yeah, man, I like that AI better.
Yeah. We got 1 or 2 more questions before
we do. Yep, we got. Hold on. We got IFA Egun had one from earlier. He says in the Moye, Oloye speaks of the Ipile 5. Can DNA test results help us with this?
I would have to say yes, but before there was the DNA testing, there were elders who could, look at you and distinguish to greater degrees, not the greatest, but greater degrees of your tribal nation's origins. Okay. It's just like when we see people, and especially those of us who've been to the motherland and have returned here, and we start to see I was in Ghana and I'm starting to see people with similar features, and then because there's been so much intermixture, but those features are dominant. So I would dare to infer that this person has Ashanti, you know what I mean? Or I've been to Nigeria a couple of times and I've seen the various faces of Nigerian people, and now when I come back to the States, it's like, okay, I can look at someone and say, I've seen a lot of faces like that when I was in Nigeria. You see where I'm going? So there were times when we were close enough to one another to pick up on the features of your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather, and on and on and on. Okay. And what tribal nation you belong to, and even what your profession was. So we could do that. Then that's very clear. But what really got to me was going through a few accounts where there were elders who actually proved that even by the scent of you, they could tell who your mother was and who your mother's line was. I'm like, no. But then on the same respect, you can talk about people levitating and walking on water or whatever. So why wouldn't it be that, throughout, time, perhaps what the family ate most of the time? You can smell a person who eats a lot of garlic, and if everybody in the family is eating a lot of garlic, they will have a similar scent. And if they raise their children with the same type of diet, then they would, all give off the same kind of fragrance or smell. So, when you think about it, it's like, oh, that's not impossible, And now when it comes down to divination, and I've done a number of EPLA 5, it's another way of determining via IFA what an individual's lineage is, not solely by the Odu, but by the yes or no, the Igbo, okay? And again, by the features, you talk to the people about, some of the stories that may have been passed down. I'll say, I remember a story where a situation where the sister was telling me a story about the sexual organs used to be under the arms because, that's what the hair was there. And then the creator moved the hair and the sexual organs more so down to the pelvic area. And that's how creation started beginning children. And I was like, oh, that's a fantastic story. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah. But then when I was in Kenya, guess what I heard? The same story. from elders in a compound, not in the city where they have access to whatever, but in the same time, I'm like, no, they didn't just relate this story. And then I thought about it. So that kind of opened my mind to, you know, the stories that are passed on. So when the Babalawos or Iyanifas do an Ipile Fa, you know, it's not, oh, like a person is coming for a reading. You know, it's an investigation. You know, it's not foretelling. It's like based on your features, based on your fragrance, based on the stories you've been told, based on where your people are and have been from the Ma'afa, because certain tribal nations were put in certain ports, were dropped at certain ports. So it becomes an investigation. So that's Ipile Fa. Okay. Now, these days, people take the swab, send it off, get their DNA results. I've done it, you know, and I've, you know, I've weighed it. Nothing's going to tell you the full story, especially with the history, you know, of any given people, you know. So, yeah, DNA testing can help with this, you know. So, in answer to your question, if I should go, and again, I've done it, you know, I don't feel any worse off because I did it, you know. People are like, oh, you know, everybody got something to say about something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I feel like some of it's a legitimate argument. Like some people say, "Why give your DNA away?" Because, you know, they can use it to clone you and do all kind of stuff. But the way I see it is, no matter what, at the end of the day, if you've ever been to the doctors, they've had access to your DNA. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I get it. I get what, you know, the people who do have that mindset, you know, that militant, you know, conspiracy theorist type mindset. I get it, and I agree with it for the most part. However, like I said, being someone who, you know, unfortunately had to go to the hospital to get medical attention, anytime, you know, you give up when they put the little tongue thing under your tongue, or, you know what I'm saying, it's just something, or you had any needle inserted in you, like they got the access and the technology to do what they want.
You were born. How about that?
Right. yeah. Because the technology that we're using now, they had back in I was there to say the 40s, since 47 with Roswell crash, but that's another discussion. But yeah. So but to wrap, get ready. I know we got to wrap it up, but I got one more
rolling
for
in Kosi. Yes, it is in Kosi. Yes, it is. That's Baba me. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, since the 80s and 90s, you know, we've been on this journey, man. It's been to my right and my left, my front and my back, my sky and my earth, you know, and I'm still trying to, you know, be worthy of his name. Still, you know. So yes, in answer to your question.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, boom. Yes, see, I got my Tawede vessel, you know, so I placed my Obatala inside the vessel. Yeah, this where you want to be for 16 days, Baba? No problem.
Hey, listen. Listen, and I'm gonna share this too. Hopefully she wasn't, but the queen made the comment there. I wonder what Baba IFA Karade's backdrop gonna be today. And this was about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. I started laughing. I said, I have no idea. I'm not even gonna try to figure that out because I said, but because it's Tawede, I think it might be a pot and maybe a candle. I don't know, but I feel like the pot might be there. But I said, well, Baba, ain't no telling, man. Ain't no telling. Because I think one thing and it'd be something totally the opposite, whatever you pull out. So I said, I ain't even gonna try to guess.
Yeah. Gotta keep myself going.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sir. But yeah, man. So I appreciate it, family. Excuse me, those who showed up with us tonight. The tribe who's always here. Shout out to the regulars, you know, the tribe, the Karade Nation. Shout out to Queen. Shout out to Nkosi. Shout out to IFA Egun. Shout out to you know, all of the tribe, bro. Kansu, Mr. Rodriguez. Anybody, if I forgot, shout out to all y'all. We appreciate the love and support. Shout out to the people who just stopped through to check us out in the comments. I appreciate all y'all for the love and support. And yeah, you know, we definitely want to share this good town hall discussion with the tribe, man, and prepare for, you know, wrapping up this this calendar year and to get ready to prepare for this 9-year that's coming to us, you know, 2025. So with that, family, I definitely look forward to reaching out to y'all. We'll definitely have, like I said, we got a live stream again tomorrow. I'll be doing the private community call in the very near future. I'll get with everybody in the communities to figure out in a group collective effort which topics to go on with that call, and then as well as me and Baba will schedule the VIP call, the next VIP call for the VIP members. And I didn't forget about y'all. I'm gonna get that third call uploaded as well. And then yeah, from there we got another one coming Monday. And yeah, we're gonna make it do what it do. So Baba, you got anything you want to leave with the tribe before we pull up out of here?
And just you know, always the peace and blessings, and you know, and the one loveness of it all, you know, and embracing kindness and fortitude and in respect to how we exchange and interchange, you know, with one another. You know, it has to lead to that, you know, it has to lead to the oneness in spite of the individualities and in spite of the different natures and orientations. There is a oneness that if we just peer through the conditioned mind and the darkness, and if we, you know, break iconoclastically through the roles of the man and the woman, and the role of the priest and the initiate, and the role of the role, you know, then we can be more in harmony with one another and accept each other for the divine spirit within. Ashe.
Ashe. I'm trying to send this messages to the chat real quick. And but nah, I echo your sentiments, Baba. I appreciate you. But yeah, with that, shout out to
like before you go.
Yes, sir.
Osun,
yeah. Excuse me, but shout out to the tribe, shout out to the Ashe tribe, shout out to the Karade Nation, shout out to, like I said earlier when we first opened up the new private community members, shout out to the VIP members, shout out to the new subscribers, and for everybody who's helped us, you know, make another milestone, push us past 1,700 subscribers, as well as I want to say over 125,000 total views. So you know, we making our way slowly but surely, family. But you know, it takes a collective, you know, and a group effort. So the same way that, you know, y'all show love to us, we definitely do our best to show that, you know, same love and deliver it with reciprocity, man, because united we stand, divided we fall, you know, as above, so below, as within, so without. So, you know, that's what we're here for. And with that, you know, bye-bye, we're here now. And I appreciate you for bringing the Taweday Day 5 Ashe to us. And I'll continue to share, you know, the remainder of the 16 days, and we'll definitely be looking to come back with some more live streams, as well as preparing, you know, to unveil some of the amenities that's going to come with the Institute. So with that, I appreciate you all, family. We give thanks. And yeah, so y'all, and for those who came late, I dropped some links in the comments for the free ebooks that I'm giving away in honor of the Tawede 16-day celebration, as well as discount codes for anything Ashe, for Ashe merch, for you know, for the family who might want to pick something up. And I appreciate y'all. I think few of the tribe grabbed some merch this week, man. So I appreciate y'all for the support, man. So it's a real thing, and you know, we need it. And so, like I said, united we stand, divided we fall. And Kosi, shout out to you, brother. You know, we definitely be chopping it up in the very near future as well, man. So shout out to the tribe and to the family. I give thanks. And with that, family, we'll see y'all again tomorrow at 7 p.m. So this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience live stream. And we are out. Don't forget to please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all tomorrow night. We out, family. Peace. Hold down low.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́, tẹ́ntì ẹni takisa ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé egun mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́ forsake not your ancestors and praise your